This week on Dumb Pitches, my guest is Carmen Morales, and we go full throttle into a story about lying to a reality TV show and getting on that show and having a really good episode, and how that turns dumb is very interesting. Plus, the detriments of traveling on the road and making decisions about where you're going to stay. It's a great episode. Here we go. Dumb Pitches.
What a bunch of dumb pitches. Oh my goodness.
Welcome to another episode of Dumb Pitches with Monica Nevi. I'm Monica Nevi, your host. This is the show where we talk to successful people about their worst ideas. It's a great show. It's the best podcast you've ever heard. Tell your friends about it. Okay. So excited for our guest. Fantastically hilarious comedian Carmen Morales is here. Yay.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
Yes, thanks for
Appreciate you
doing
having
it.
me. And what a great concept to exploit people for all the fuck-ups they've made in
Yeah,
their life.
we
like that.
specifically like to pick people who we really like and that are feeling good, and we love their art and everything they're doing, so we can kind of bring them back down. That's what we like.
Yeah, I like that. Like a reality check. Like, sure, it might be okay right now, but not always.
Remember
Don't ever
when
forget.
you fucked
Remember
up.
when you fucked up? Yeah.
Well, good. All right, so you already got the gist. You know what you know what our energy is, so that's good.
Yeah, you guys are like the opposite of like, what is it? Like positivity. You're like, no, you still suck. Remember that. Never forget.
Yeah. Well, I think people, they always say that their favorite part about celebrities is if they're down to earth, right? Oh, I like that celebrity so much because they're actually really down to earth. So we just want to keep everyone down to earth. That's why.
More like down in the dumps, but yeah. Down
Well,
to earth.
we do like to start by giving your good ideas, your credits, so people know that you've done lots of, and you've been on a lot of, you've been on Showtime, you've been on IFC, Freeform, Hulu, you have an HBO special that people can stream right now after you listen to this.
Like not even a month ago. Please watch it.
It's fantastic. If you, as soon as you get done watching this episode, head on over to HBO and stream that. And SiriusXM, for Netflix, all this different stuff. You, worked at the Comedy Store as a door person, which is like
second door person second female door person in all of Comedy Store history.
Yeah, which is crazy because if you are a stand-up comedy fan, I'm sure you've heard of kind of like the door guy thing, but you came in and changed it up, and
I kind of did. There was a little bit of a turmoil because I was like, at that time was the only one that was like really working the road. Like I was already a professional comedian when I came in, so it was like, it was just the talent coordinator at the time was just like, this is the best way for you to get up here as much as possible. And he's like, I don't mean it in a disrespectful way or anything like that. It's just like, this is how you can go up the most. And I was like, I was like, as long as you don't mind that I'm still going to go make real money doing this for real, then I'll work your minimum wage job sometimes when I'm in town. And all right,
yeah,
fine.
that's a good idea. That works out. All right, so plenty of great ideas. Really, I mean, and honestly, just I've always been a fan. I thought you were hilarious, but we got to work together just this last week or recently, and it was nice to see a longer set, and I was very impressed. Just a really, really funny comedian. Nice. So if for some reason you hadn't heard of Carmen yet, here you go. Check it out. Follow her, all that fun stuff. And now that you feel good about the things that you've done, what did you think of when we sent the criteria for kind of the bad ideas?
Well, there's been a lot of bad ideas that I've had that have just kind of worked out. So I figured that probably wouldn't be good for bringing people back down to earth. So you probably want something that was a bad idea and stayed a bad idea. Like, I'm certain there's plenty of bad ideas in the sense that we probably should have stopped doing drugs a couple of hours ago. There's plenty of those, I feel like that's a lesson learned from anyone in this industry as far as like, because I came up in the era where part of the reason you were a comedian was so you could do drugs.
Yeah, that's a common thing
more
for
often.
sure.
Yeah, without destroying. It's like, a safe place for alcoholics and drug addicts. But the funniest one, I think, as far as all of the fuck ups I've done, is when I first moved to Los Angeles. I moved out here with a dude. That did not work out. 4 months. I think we made it 4 months, and then
That's
we were
pretty
living in a
good.
studio together.
Okay.
And then I kicked him out, and then my friend from Chicago was gonna move here anyways, and I was like, well, if you don't mind living in a bunk bed with another grown ass bitch, we could live here for
Wait, did
super
you
cheap.
have the bunk beds already, like with your boyfriend?
No, I didn't. No. We would have had to buy bunk beds.
Yeah,
But I was like, if you want to do this, because her and I, like,
That's part of the deal.
Yeah, you might know comedian Laura Bites. Her and I had we had worked together for years. I met her doing stand up in Milwaukee and then in Chicago and stuff like that when we both lived in Chicago at the same time. So we had always talked about that, about like the idea of how funny it would be if we lived in bunk beds, and then we did, and it was like probably a funnier idea than two grown adults trying to live their lives there, literally and figuratively, right next to each other. It's a lot. So we were broke and like looking for ways to make money, and I was on Craigslist, and they were looking for couples to be on this like divorce court type of show. I don't know if it was actual divorce court or it was like a show like that.
Okay.
And it was like it paid $500 each. So I was like, oh, bitch, that's our rent. So then we were like, so I asked her, I go, Laura, will you be my lesbian girlfriend on this court show so we could make rent money? And then she was like, sure. And then we read it, and we had an interview for it, and they liked us. They liked our story, like, because we had to like fill out a sheet. And then I was like, so what's our story?
I was gonna say, what was the story that you came up with?
You talked about how we met, and like I mean, now I don't remember all the details because it was a lie, and it was like several years ago. But I think we just ended up using like our story as our friendship, and then just made it romantic.
Yeah,
we were
okay.
like, we met in the Midwest. We moved out here together. We're both trying to make it. It was like one of those stories. And she's my rock, and it just keeps me grounded. All of that shit. It was beautiful, and. Then they love us. We had like 3 or 4 meetings with like different producers and stuff. They were into it, And so then we we go in to do the show. They do all the makeup and stuff. I never had my eyelashes that long before. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it was like
this is a good act out though. Yeah,
it was a very, very like if it was. I want to give people watching the video version of this podcast a little action too. Okay?
Yeah, definitely.
It's not all people just listening. All right,
that is true.
People want to see it. So they want to see the fucking snuffleupagus eyelashes that these bitches gave me.
It's
and
distracting.
It was I had never been this is the first time in my whole life I'd ever had anyone else do my makeup. And then I was like, oh, this is what bitches are supposed to look like, because I had never put that much effort and time into smearing shit on my face before, and I was just like, wow, I look like I was about to do the weather in Venezuela. That's what I looked like. It looked like I was about to tell them about a cold front coming in. And I was like, oh, this is what I would look like if I had like a real job. If things would have been different the last 15 years.
I had to like present myself during the day. Yeah.
And we go in. We go in to do the show, and we film it, and it goes great. We start up, I start talking about like, I don't even remember what our fucking problem was. It was, it was deciding like we would have had to like figure out the rest of our lease and stuff like that. We were talking about breaking up because this was just too much pressure. Los Angeles was too much pressure, blah blah blah, right? Real shit, And because at the time she was making smoothies at 6 o'clock in the morning, like a fucking
all right, well that's
like
good.
I don't live 5 feet from you, I went to bed 3 hours ago.
Yes.
So there was some realness in there too. We were using, use the realness
This is
and to kind of create
therapy
these
session.
Yeah. And so that ended up happening while I was on the stand. I was talking about, I start bringing up my bipolar dad. I start getting emotional, like how much it sucks that it all led to this. Hell, we went through so much to get here, and now she just wants to fucking end it, like Like we've been through so much.
Okay,
And
so
I
it's
start
not
crying.
even the lease is the problem. Now you're having the relationship itself come in and being
Yeah.
emotional about that. So now people are
Yeah.
invested on a human level. Yeah.
Start crying on the stand, you know. Then the judge starts getting emotional, starts talking about her dad was bipolar, so we start having this moment or whatever, and then they ended up like, I think they settled where we both ended up getting, like, nobody had to owe anybody money. She was just like, you guys should work this out, whatever. It was fun. So it all worked out, where both of us won. I guess it was like a weird decision, and after we film it, like, the producers are losing their fucking mind about it for some reason, and they're like, that was amazing, that was like so good. It was, you know what it was? It was almost like, if you ever went to an acting class and somebody in the class actually knows how to act, and it's not people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not people going, this is what I would smile. You know, it's just not people doing an impression of acting. But that's what it was. It was just like, oh my God, we've never had anything seem this real before. And they were talking about, like, after several conversations I had with the producer, they're like, I think this is the episode that we're going to submit for sweeps, for, like, you know, which is like the it's like the daytime equivalent of, like, you know, this is the best of the best.
Oh, like
This is what we
they
would
want
put
an
up
award.
yeah, best of the year type of shit.
Wow.
And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah. We were like, we love it. She's never opened up like that to anyone. Da 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 da. Like, all this shit. And I was like, damn. Okay, cool. And so me and Laura are fucking feeling pretty good about ourselves, right? Feeling pretty fucking.
I was gonna say, so far
mastermindy.
it does seem
Yeah.
like a crazy idea, but it has worked. Like the fact that you
It's
even
worked out.
got all the way onto the show and stuff with this.
Yeah.
And I love that they're like, this seemed so real compared to everything. You're like, yeah, the story that was made up.
Yeah.
The relationship that's not
the
real
part that
seemed
made
the
it so
realist.
funny to me. Yeah. It's like, oh, you guys love any kind of lie, I guess. And so then this is where the funny part is. I get fucked up. This is where I fucked up. Is it was so funny to me that we had pulled it off, that I posted online about how, because, you know, everybody on, I think, because this was back when it was like all the other apps weren't like prevalent, which this was just like back in the Facebook days, where
Yeah.
that was the only place that was popping. Well, now it's just like, you know, it's just for old people to be racist, but for back then it was where everybody was
Right,
sharing all the
yeah,
personal information. So I go on there and I talk about how hilarious it is that me and Laura are criminal masterminds and we were on divorce court. Hilarious, right? I didn't know that they were gonna be researching us.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know who did, but, like, I basically violated an NDA by saying that, like, this was bullshit and da 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 da. Like, and they found it, and so then, man, that producer was so fucking mad at me, because then that episode couldn't air. He couldn't air, so they basically, like, I cost them however much it cost to film an episode, and so they couldn't film it, and we had to give them money back. And needless to say, Laura was fucking pissed, because that was our fucking rent money for that month. Like, so everybody was fucking mad at me, except for everybody everybody online thought it was fucking hilarious. You know, because I fucked up and oopsie. Probably should have waited till it aired to let everybody know it was bullshit.
Yeah, I wonder, even if you did it then, would they have?
They would have. Yeah, they still would have asked for the money back, probably, because then it's also that it being that it's not real, which is all, you know, just like.
Was this like the day of, like, you had just finished it and you posted online after that, or like how long after you filmed it and stuff did you post about it?
I think it was only a couple of days.
Okay.
I couldn't fucking take it anymore. I just thought it was so funny.
You're like, I have to tell people about it.
Yeah. I should have just did it as a bit. That's what I should have done,
Oh.
instead of telling people online.
There you go. Well, then that takes you a little while to get it perfect.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Plus, and then they probably wouldn't have looked into that unless I did it on, like, a special or something.
Yeah,
and
they would.
Probably
And
be too late.
I was gonna say,
then
even
you
then
can
it'd
take
be.
the fucking $500 back, bitch.
Yeah, I already filmed a special. That's Oh yeah, and then they'd have to go to shows. They wouldn't see that.
Yeah,
Was it just like you just? Because now I'm like, oh, posting. You know, oh, I'd put that in my Instagram story or something. Was it just like a long Facebook post, like you wrote it out? Did you have pictures or anything? or
I had a picture of me with the divorce court script, or I think a picture of both of us with the divorce court script.
okay.
And yeah, I didn't tell the whole story, but I told the story about how like me and Laura are gonna get divorced on divorce court, and made it pretty obvious that it was bullshit.
That it was not. Well, yeah, and then I guess from there, if people are commenting that know you, then obviously it's not.
Yeah.
It's gonna come out.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I was just like, I kept like putting my lesbian wife in quotations and shit like that. And
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, it was it was pretty obvious.
Well, and then that's, I mean, even if, because then you could have put yourself in a bigger spiral if you were just like, yeah, let me post about this without the quotes and stuff, and then everybody's like, wait, you and Laura are together? You know, like, is this real? Why wouldn't you tell me?
I didn't even know you guys were together.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Wasn't she just dating Colin like 2 weeks ago? What's happening?
He's
So
like,
much
hey,
happened.
I don't know any of this. This is weird. I mean,
What's up?
that is.
But then everybody was like, well, at least you got a story. And it's like, oh.
That's always, people always say
mad
that.
at me.
That's true. I mean, that's, yeah, for the producers to be so excited too, I bet. Like,
Yeah.
It's
That's
odd.
the only thing I felt bad about. I didn't feel bad about lying or anything. I felt bad about how upset I made that producer because he was like, now I can't use this.
Yeah.
And this was going to be the fucking.
They were
creme
so
de la creme.
excited for it.
I honestly don't know if it ever aired. I don't think it did, but I think that was the whole thing is like, now we can't air it because we know it's bullshit. So I don't know that it ever aired, but I don't think it did.
That would be funny
But
if
then
it still did.
But then I was also upset because I never got to see it.
Yeah.
I never got to see what the performance
You're like, I
looked
did,
like.
I nailed it, you know? You got
Yeah,
emotional and
I wanted to see
everything.
how good of an actress I was. Yeah.
You never know until you see it later, you know? Yeah.
Hey, listen, I want to write that producer now and be like, look, I know it's been a long time. But is there any way I could use that for my reel? Just curious if you're still mad, but I kind of wanted to use that.
That's
footage
one
if
of my
it's still around.
better dramatic performances, so I need, you know, to show my versatility.
Exactly. Stand up and then crying on a divorce
Crying
show.
on a divorce show. That's amazing. I mean, that this was it was a roller coaster of a story because at first you're like, okay, is the bad idea that they lied about it, and it really isn't. Like that wasn't that part really worked out.
Yeah, the lying part worked out well.
Yeah, that's
Oddly enough, it
just
was
the posting, really.
Yeah, it was the telling people I was lying.
It's a cautionary tale. If you're gonna lie, stick with it. Okay,
don't wait till
wait till it airs. That's
wait till after it airs. You know, read the NDA and see how long you're not allowed to talk about it.
That's fair. Maybe reading actual contracts.
I didn't read any of that. That was like.
I never have.
That's how young I was. With comedy, is I wasn't reading anything. I was just like, yeah, whatever. Just give me the $500. I need it.
That's true. I mean, it is funny that you like go through all this stuff. I did oh man, me and my roommate at the time, which we did live in a studio when we first moved to LA. Mike Coletta. We did this show that was like, oh man, I don't even remember. It wasn't for BuzzFeed. It was somebody else, and it was like drunk Shark Tank essentially, where it was hosted by some like YouTube influencer type of people who were both bartenders. And so they were like making us drinks, but then we had to pitch an idea. And we went with an idea that we had been thinking about for a long time. Like we, you know, it's a strip club putt-putt course. Which I should have him on to talk about that at some point. But we
top tees.
I think slut putt was the
Slut putt.
yeah.
Oh my god, that's great.
We do have a clip somewhere of just me saying slut putt, but the thing never aired. But we won by like, it was pretty obvious. And I, at some point, because we had been drinking, that was like kind of the point of it. Yeah. At some point called out the other team that was like in the top two. It was us and this other team, and theirs was like a robot suit that when you started to black out, like kept you up, like kept you partying kind of thing.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, because then so you can still hook up. And at some point, I was like, don't pick the rape robot. Like, what are you talking about? That's not. And everybody was trying to stare at me, and I was like, well, I mean, that's pretty true. And we won, and it was like, it's so much
yeah,
work.
Man, once you call it the rape robot, you can't.
Nobody's gonna vote for that one. Yeah. They were at some point because they kept asking us questions, and I was like, no one else has asked anyone questions. Like I was really irritated with the other players at this point. But it was like, it's so much work. We canceled one day because one of the bartenders, the lady bartender, she had an allergic reaction to, like, she was allergic to peanuts or something, and like had to go to the hospital, and so they had to like cancel filming one day, and then we filmed another day, and like went through this whole thing. We won, we got money for it and stuff, which it's same situation, definitely needed at the time, and then it just never went anywhere. I don't know. There was like a teaser for it, but it wasn't. Yeah, I guess.
A lot of times those are the best projects, because then it's like, oh, I just have to do the thing, and especially if it seems like you were kind of not enjoying it that much. So then it's just like
I was fucking grumpy about it. I was like, you're all idiots.
That's the best. You get a paycheck to be mildly annoyed. That's not bad.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And they like paid for our Ubers that day because everybody was drunk, and they were, of course, not supposed to like really promote that we had, like everybody has to drink 5 drinks or whatever, but they were like, if you want to drink, keep drinking, so it was a really weird. And like the woman who booked us knew us from auditioning for AGT. Like she had used to work for AGT with comics specifically, and then moved over to seemingly.
I think I know who that is.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Cool.
But yeah, so she thought of us, which was nice, and it was fine. But you could almost tell that she was like irritated by the whole thing too. Like she didn't want to be there either. So you think about like the producers of that show being so excited for it, and you're like, yeah, I'm invested in you guys doing a good job too.
Yeah.
You feel bad for I feel bad. So
yeah, that was the only thing, because it was just like, he was cool, and I'm certain he was produced other things. So for me, it was just like, I just moved to Los Angeles and I'm already burning bridges with people.
Right.
That's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to stick to a different side hustle. I can't side hustle within the industry I'm trying to thrive in. I'm gonna have to hustle.
Yeah, I can't burn these production bridges. Or maybe that's it. I mean, have you ever posted about something before it came out ever again after that?
No, that was because I was like, since then, no, I don't even post about it when it comes out.
Yeah,
I'll share it when you guys say it's okay. Like
exactly, you learned that one lesson.
When my special came out, they had to post, and then I shared it. That's it. That's okay.
You're like, I'm just breaking any NDAs, so that maybe that's it. You needed the lesson to be learned. I guess.
Just keep everything's a secret. Everything's a fucking secret. Nobody knows.
Well, okay. So even that one, I feel like. Yeah, the idea itself isn't bad. The actually just like lying about going on a show, I think, is kind of brilliant in the fact that you did well enough to really not only get through, but then be so excited about the episode is a pretty good idea. There's only one glitch in it. Do you have any other ones that you thought of that you're like?
I don't think so. Like I said, like a lot of times it just works out. Like, deciding to be a drug dealer is not usually the best idea, but that worked out for me for years. Like that was one of the ways I used to subsidize or making money when I was on the road and shit. But again, that worked out. Nothing like that happened.
Was that your merch at the time? That's good.
I mean, it was one of them. I also sold T-shirts. I was legit. I was doing that Nipsey hustle where you do a little bit of both, a little bit of illegal, a little bit of legal, right? And then you take the illegal money and sift it through.
That's quite a system. I mean, that's good. But I feel like a lot of your ideas are definitely coming from the fact that you do need to subsidize yourself as a comic a lot of the time. I mean, you got to figure stuff out at some point. And so
here's the thing that people forget is, like, especially being, like, because I was a middle at the time, like, being a feature comedian, which now, talk about a dwindling middle class. It used to be you could still make enough money as a middle. I mean, it'd only be like maybe $27,000 a year, $30,000 a year, but you could still make a living doing it. And now you definitely can't do that.
Not with especially with the travel getting. I mean, it's just, anyways, that's not for you guys to worry about. But we'll put our Venmos in
the. You just end up doing shit just to kind of make money so you can keep doing it. I mean, that was why I lived out of a Saturn. That was probably a bad decision, living out of a Saturn, you know. But I lived out of my Saturn for like 6 years, you know, and there's a bunch of bad decisions. A lot of the places I stayed, I definitely should not have stayed. One time I was like staying at this cheap Airbnb that was like $23 a night, and I was like, oh, perfect. I'm not going to get there till like midnight 30, 1 o'clock in the morning. Solid move. And I get there, and it's like, it really was something out of a horror movie. It was this dude that, the house was gross. You ever go to somebody's house and there's like a film on everything, you know? Is like you feel like if you touched anything, it would be a little sticky.
Yeah, you know?
Yes. Like dust sticks to it, you know. Like it was fucking gross. And I get there, and of course, in the middle of the night, I get there because I'd just been driving like 16 hours that day, going from gig to gig, and I was like, I'm probably not going to be able to make it all the way. So I go to, and I'm sitting there on the front porch, and super weird older dude, and he was just like, oh, where are you coming from, blah blah blah, all that shit. And I was just like, my spidey senses were already like, oh, this was a bad idea. This was definitely. And then he goes, I want to show you my orchard. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. There is no light. I can't see the fruits on the fucking trees. What the fuck are you talking about? And then I was just like, okay.
I mean, yeah, at that point you're like, no, I'm not gonna. But
well,
what do you
like,
say?
Is he more likely to kill me if I don't go or if I do
yes,
go?
or is that why I'm going to the orchard? I'm confused.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I sanded it. I really fucking improv'd it, and I went, and he genuinely just wanted to show me his orchard, and was like, showed me these crabapple trees he was growing, and this fucking fig tree, and I was like, okay.
Is that it?
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
So can I go to
sure.
bed now?
But I was just so creeped out because his place was like it was kind of it was gross. So then the room that I was staying in, I thought like if he was gonna be creepy or whatever, like a rape robot, if you will. If I thought he was gonna do that, like I wanted to make sure. But I still didn't trust him. Like he was just on the cusp of me being real concerned. But I probably just should have crashed in my car for a few hours someplace else. But so what I did instead is in the guest room that I was staying in, I just wedged the chair under the doorknob and was like, he's gonna have to try to get in.
At least I'll wake up before then, I guess. Yeah.
So there's plenty of those kinds of decisions where it was just like, yeah.
I know, but there's some of those things where you're like, you just kind of have to make it work, and you're just in. I mean, not to be like, just suck it up, and it's part of the thing, but it just happens more often than not that you're like, well, this place is gross, or I don't feel necessarily comfortable.
Yeah.
And also, like, come see my orchard. I don't know what that's code for.
Yeah.
Is that?
Because this was like in the Midwest too, so I was like, I don't know if that means what the word means, or if that means something else.
Yeah, the Midwest orchard. What's that? You never know. You never know. Oh my gosh. Well. Well, you made it out. That's good. All of these stories are okay because you made it out. It worked out. Everything.
I didn't die.
Happy. Where can people find you, follow you, come see you live? What do you got going on?
Oh my gosh.
I think your handle's on there.
CarmenMorales.com for all of your Carmen Morales needs. All my dates are on there, and I got what's it called? Yeah, I got my dates on there. I'm gonna be at the Neptune Theater in Seattle with Ron Funches. That's on when is that? July 9th.
Nice.
So make sure you guys check that out. Pretty please. I will also be at Cobb's in San Francisco on July 10th. Going to Phoenix, Arizona at Stand Up Live also with Ron Funches. I'll be at the Brad Garrett Comedy Club in Las Vegas in August, Traverse City Comedy Club in Michigan, San Diego, California. I'm doing the 10,000 Last Comedy Festival in Minneapolis. CarmenMorales.com. Get all your info at the Funny Carmen. If you have HBO Max, please watch my Entrenos set on there. It's ENTRENOS, or just search for Carmen. It comes up if you search my name. If you don't have HBO Max, I mean, don't buy it. Use somebody else's login if you don't got it. Get it.
Make some friends.
And if you watched it and enjoyed, put it on again for your animals, because I need the numbers.
The animals.
help
Do
a
it for the
bitch out.
animals. Put it on in the orchard for the animals.
Yeah,
and
come check it out in the orchard with a rape robot.
Perfect. We'll do all those things. Follow Carmen. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can subscribe or join our YouTube membership. You get the episode a day early and behind the scenes stuff and more of my stand-up, all those fun things. It's worth it, I promise. Or if you're just listening, whatever you use to listen, give us a rating and review, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps a ton. But right now, you can just keep watching Dumb Pitches.
You're weird.
Yes.